Shafi is not the partner of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Shafi is actually partner of the person who is doing dua. When we look at the Muslim world, as far as the aqaid are concerned, on the basic concept of shafa'at, all Muslims are united on this issue. You might be surprised. And when I say all Muslims here, I mean the Shias, the Sunnis, the Sufis, as well as the Wahhabis. And we'll talk about them tonight. All of them basically say, yes, there is room for shafa'at in the Islamic, deen. All of them agree, especially when we talk about Rasulullah, because I'm, exclusively for the Shi'i point of view. So we talk about Rasulullah and his shafa'at. When we look at all the Muslims, the Shia, the Sunnis, the Sufis, and the Wahhabis, agree that when Rasulullah was alive, he had the haqq of shafa'at. They don't deny that. Even the Wahhabis don't deny that. When the day of Qiyamah will happen, all Muslims, Shia, Sunni, Sufi, Wahhabi, believe that Rasulullah will have the haqq of shafa'at on the day of Qiyamah. So when it comes to the life of the Prophet when he was alive and the day of Qiyamah, there is no dispute about the right of shafa'at of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam at all. So where is the area of dispute? Between the Shias, the Sufis, and the Sunnis on one hand, and the Wahhabis on the other hand. The dispute is about the time between the wafat of Rasulullah and the day of Qiyamah. That is the area. After the wafat of Rasul, does the Rasul have the right of Allah? So we are talking about our time. Where they say when you go to the Zari of Rasulullah in Medina and ask dua through him and make him your Shafi, this is the area where they have a problem. So even the Wahhabis would not actually reject the concept of shafa'at totally, but they confine that to Rasulullah when he was alive and to Rasul on the day of Qiyamah. The area of dispute between the Wahhabis on one hand and on the rest of the Muslims on the other hand is the haqq of shafa'at of Rasulullah after his wafat. Salawat. As far as the Wahhabis are concerned, let me just make 3 comments which will kind of clarify our point of view on this issue. Number 1, from the reality point of view, all Muslims, and when I say all Muslims here, including the Wahhabis here, in their namaz, all of them, when they say the salam, they say assalamu alayka ayyuhan nabi wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Those of you who have lived in Middle East and you know a little bit Arabic, if you look at the word assalamu alayka, salam on you, you actually use this for a person who is able to hear the salam. If he doesn't have the ability to hear the salam, you actually say that in form of a dua where you say assalamu alayhi. It's your dua. But when you use the word assalamu alayka, you are actually talking to somebody, directly addressing that individual. And so if it said assalamu ala nabi wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, we could say it was dua. But when they say assalamu alayka, this actually means that Rasulullah has the ability even now to listen to our salam. Salawat. What they do not realize is that Rasulullah, according to the Quran, is the supreme witness. This might be unfamiliar terminology for you. What do we mean by supreme witness? There is an ayat in Surah An-Nisa where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking to his beloved Prophet and kind of, consoling him and explaining his fazilat and his greatness over all others. And there he talks about this issue. فَكَيْفَ إِذَا جِئْنَا مِنْ كُلِّ أُمَّةٍ بِشَهِيدٍ. The ayat is addressed directly, singularly to him. That, O Muhammad, what about the day, on the day of Qiyamah, when we will bring every ummah with their shaheed. Shaheed means witness. In Quran, shaheed is never used in the meaning of shaheed the way we use it. In Quran, shaheed means shahid, means witness. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, O Muhammad, what about the day when we will bring every nation with its witness? They will testify in the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala whether the people were good or bad, generally or not. وَجِئْنَا بِكَ عَلَى هَؤُلَاءِ شَهِيدًا. And O Muhammad, on that day, when every ummah will come and their Nabi or Imam or their Wali will be there witnessing for or against them, then we will bring you birth. Why do you have problem that he can be a Shafi or not after his wafat? Because that is the area where Wahhabis have a problem. From wafat to the day of Qiyamah, they say he doesn't have the haqq of shafaat because he is dead. Well, even before he came to this dunya, he was able to know. This is where we have to realize that the hayat of Rasul is of different levels and different phases. There was a hayat on the level of nur, there is a hayat on the level of jism in dunya, there is a hayat in the alam of barzakh, and there is hayat in the akhirah. Salawat on the Iqbal. Two or 3 years ago, somebody forwarded me a very interesting kind of latifa. Sometimes these things come handy when you talk with the Wahhabis. Sometimes, those simple-minded people need those simple kind of. That in Medina, they have Imam Jummah who is, the regular person. But for other namaz in the Masjid al-Nabi, they have different, shuyukh who come and lead the namaz. Many of them consider their duty after the namaz to sit down and try to guide the zuwar. There are millions of Muslims who come to Medina for the ziyarat of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. They have all these writings everywhere in Baqi and other areas. They say, in different languages, ziyarat jo hai ये बुत परस्ती है, ये वो है. And so one of the, according to that, the clip that I got was this one sheikh, the Wahhabi sheikh in Masjid Nabi after namaz. They brought the kursi for him. He sat down and started giving wa'ad nasiyah to the people. There's no use in asking shafa'at from this zari. And Nauzubillah, the way they talk about Sahib Zari also is very in a disrespectful manner. They say he's mayyit, you can't hear. Shirk and bid'at and haram. And then to demonstrate that, he actually took out a pen from his pocket. And he looked at one of the zawar there. He says, خُذِ الْقَلَمْ يَا هَذَا. So he stood up to take the pen. So he says, see what happened. This person is alive. When I told him, خُذِ الْقَلَمْ, he stood up and he responded to take the qalam. Then he uses that. He says, he looked towards the zari of Rasulullah, pointed the qalam towards there, and he says, خُذِ الْقَلَمْ يَا Muhammad. He's trying to demonstrate that this person was alive, he stood up. Now I'm putting the same question here to Sahib Qabr, there is no response. So the difference is he's alive and he's dead. He can't listen to you. There was an African Zaire there, he stood up, came to the Sheikh. He says, oh Sheikh, let me borrow your pen. He took the pen, raised it up, and he says, خُذِ الْقَلَمْ يَا Allah. Looked up. Ya Allah, oh Allah, take this pen. He did it once, twice, 3 times. He gave it back to the Sheikh. He said, according to you, even he doesn't listen. Salawat from the Prophet. So the point is that, they don't really have this appreciation of the spiritual level of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that his soul is so great that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, if I have revealed the Quran on the mountain are the most solid part of this earth. The mountain will shatter, turn into dust. It doesn't have the ability to absorb. It is the nafs of Muhammad who is able to receive the wahy of Quran from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so the first point is that when we talk to Rasulullah, we have to realize it's not just, wafat has happened and he's mutawaffa and mayyit, and then, no. You are actually not addressing his body, you are addressing his soul, which is of a very, very great level. The second point is that even if you look at the Quran, the Wahhabis cannot deny that there are ayat of Quran for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in 2 places. He talks about shuhada, those who have been killed in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So their wafat has happened. Their qatl has taken place. And what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say? وَلَا تَقُولُوا لَمَنْ يُقْتَلْ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ أَمْوَاتٌ بَلْ أَحْيَاءٌ. Do not say to those who are killed in the way of Allah as dead, they are أحياء وَلَكِنْ لَا تَشْعُرُونَ. But you don't have the ability to comprehend that. You don't have the ability to comprehend the life of the shuhada after they have been killed. How can you even comprehend the life of Rasulullah after his wafat? And the other ayat, وَلَا تَحْسَبَنَّ الَّذِينَ قُتِلُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ أَمْوَاتًا. Do not even think of those who are killed in the way of Allah as mayyit. They are ahya in the rabbihim yurzaqun. They are sustained in the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The ayat has been repeated twice. One says, لا تقولوا. Do not even say it. But Allah says, don't say it. وَلَا تَحْسَبَنَّ. Do not even think about them in that way. Have your thoughts very clear about the shuhada. If the shuhada can have life after they have been killed, we believe Rasulullah is Afdal al-Anbiya wal-Mursaleen. He's even higher over the Shuhada, and therefore he also has his own life after Wafat. Salawat. And the third point before I go to Urdu is that, and this is very important, if there is any sensible Wahhabi arguing on this issue, put this to him.